You're listening to the Radio Wammo Breakfast, only on Kiwi.
Now for another episode of Wine Vault Radio with WineVaultTV.com's Jason Bryant joining us here in the Kiwi studio. Good morning, Jason.
Good morning, Wammo. How are you?
Very well. Another week of perusing the vineyards of New Zealand and around the world.
A very quick week as well, it seems.
It does seem like very quick, doesn't it?
And I've bought a little perler for you today.
What have you bought in?
Terrace Heights Estate, THE, or the, as other people
may
say
it. It is the, isn't it?
Yeah. From Marlborough, 08 Pinot Gris. I'll just
pour that out.
Give you a little pour.
Do you know these guys?
I met Steve recently, and I met him through Twitter as well, and I used to drink their wine probably about 05, and always made pretty good wine. It's estate grown, it's kind of in the Wairau Valley, the heart of Marlborough, near Saracen and who are the other guys, Mahi and stuff like that. And their estate's going to be used, I think it's this weekend or next weekend, for the Marlborough wine show.
Oh, okay.
Which is different from the food and wine show.
And is that where a bunch of different vineyards in the whole area come around?
Yeah, and they really display all of their own kind of wines and get kind of wine judges and critics and various other people from the industry to come in, and also a few people from the public to come in and taste the wines.
Nice.
So it's really wine focused rather than wine and food focused. I should pour myself some.
Yeah, pour yourself a little glass. God, it's awfully fragrant.
Now, Pinot Gris is the grape from Alsace and also from Italy. Alsace, you tend to get a sweeter kind of varietal, lush kind of fruit with a bit of apricot and other dried fruit in it. And in Italy, you get Pinot Grigio. They're the same thing, same grape. They're a hybrid of the Pinot Noir grape, which and also Pinot Blanc.
Oh.
Yeah, so you do get that structure if it's made well.
Is the Pinot Gris grape eating the lunch a little bit of the Sèvres?
It has done. It was really in vogue over the last, probably about 4 years. But there's been no real regional style, so people don't know what they get. They can get a dry or a sweet one, and it's really hit and miss for the consumer. So their kind of uptake has been kind of reduced recently over the last kind of probably 18 months.
Okay.
And there's been a shift back towards Chardonnay and Sauvignon Blanc.
Yeah.
And I guess until there's a regional style, like you're going to get a sweeter style out of Marlborough or a drier style out of Marlborough or Central Otago, people are a bit more kind of wary, but it's a great sunny Sunday afternoon drink if it's got that edge of sweetness. And it's a highly acidic grape, so you can have the acid and the sweetness there without adding anything.
Is it a cheese wine? One you'd be having with cheese? Because
seafood.
It's one that puzzles me, and I wouldn't select it to eat with a meal because I don't know enough about it.
And that's been one of the problems. And so kind of for, I guess, the people of the wine industry, it's their job to educate people about Pinot Gris, which means Pinot or grey cone, because Pinot Noir is black pine cone, really, or black cone, and Pinot Gris is grey. So it's kind of a light kind of blush with it when you leave it on its skins, and it comes out slightly pink.
Yeah.
And you tend to get a bit of kind of lush fruit sweetness with it as well.
Because just looking in colour, it's very clear.
This is very clear. This is almost kind of like Sauvignon kind of clear.
Yeah.
You do tend to get a bit more kind of oily texture on the palate and kind of like dried fruit, kind of peach, apricot on the nose.
So clear, I think you could
read the computer through it.
You could read my computer through it. You could see my eyes through it, I reckon. Right. Yeah.
That's not our normal test.
Isn't it?
Kind of horses for courses, do what you want. So what do you get on the nose?
Well, on the nose, I'm not picking a particular flavour, but I can tell you about a feeling in my nose.
Yep.
It's quite it hits, and then your nose wants to close up a little bit because it's like
that may be the alcohol, even though I think it's only 13.5. Some of that alcohol is blowing off, and there's a bit of heat there up the nose.
Is that what's going on? Go, oh.
But I get a bit of apricot. I get the kind of classic. It's at the moment it's fairly kind of one-dimensional. And you do get that oiliness to the palate.
Why oily?
It's just what happens with the grapes, what you get. When
That's
you
a
make
good
it in a
thing?
really dry style, it's kind of bone-crunching dry, and that's the Italian. It goes so well with seafood. When you leave a bit of kind of residual sugar in there, because you get naturally sweet kind of sugar in the wine, you tend to get this kind of oiliness. And because it's got a really nice kind of balance with the acidity, that it doesn't taste too sweet.
Right.
It doesn't taste cloying or anything like that. I think this wine is really in balance. Just a kind of bit of alcohol heat at the end.
Yeah.
But you get enough fruit sweetness there. And 08 was a difficult vintage, so I can imagine this 09, which was a much more kind of classic Marlborough vintage, being a lot broader on the palate, but still has that kind of backbone of acidity.
It's funny. It's funny because you say that about the. This doesn't get taken the wrong way, but I almost get that kind of spirit type feel from it
at the end. That that's the acidity,
right?
And there's a bit of kind of alcohol there as well.
Yeah,
and those two combined give you that kind of, I'd say, warmth.
Yeah.
From a spirit.
And I don't normally get that from a wine.
Yeah. And when you put this with food, you'll lose all of that.
Okay.
So for me, it's really a food wine. The fruit is slightly lacking, and it's slightly kind of one-dimensional, but it's sweet.
It's very sweet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But there's enough acid, like you say, and you get that kind of spirit kind of feeling.
Yeah.
And with the Italian version, this would go much better with kind of almost dessert or an aperitif.
Yeah.
The Italian version would probably it does suit seafood a lot better, kind of like fish and shellfish, and that kind of also some pasta dishes.
But is that common for a Pinot Gris to go well with a dessert, to be so sweet?
The Alsatian style, yes. Yeah. And they need to get the fruit ripe and still retain the acid. So you do get a lovely sweet kind of lush textured kind of wine.
You've got a slight chill going on here as well with the bottle. You've chilled it slightly, but I'm quite used to Pinot Gris being very cold.
Yeah, then you lose. As soon as you chill a wine, you basically just camouflage all of the kind of flavours and the natural kind of goodness of the wine.
Yeah.
And it really closes up the wine. As soon as you bring it to a normal kind of room temperature, it really kind of lets the alcohol kind of open up, lets the wine open up. You get all of those kind of floral, because it's an aromatic wine.
Yeah.
Kind of really come to the fore. And
would you imagine if someone walked into the studio right now,
Yeah.
they'd smell it straight away?
probably on our breath.
Yeah.
Yeah. Because it's got that sweet. It's not overly floral though. This.
But you get some wines, don't you? And you open up the cap, and suddenly the whole room goes.
Yeah, like Gewürztraminer,
Yeah.
like with that rose petal kind of
Yeah.
character.
Yeah.
Some of them can just really dominate the room, which is attractive if you like
I
that
think it's
style of
nice.
wine.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah. But next week we'll do a Viognier from the same guys.
Not a Volgnier.
Yeah, I know people really struggle with it because the way it's spelt, and so it doesn't get that much exposure in New
Because
Zealand.
people don't
of
want to
it.
ask for it. Is that what they don't want
That
us to do?
yeah.
I'll have the Volgnier.
And they feel
thanks.
embarrassed and intimidated. But if you just say, "Look, I'll just take one of these. Can you tell me about it?" and you don't have to say the name, like you're going to get a really good drinking experience. There's not much of it grown in New Zealand, but it is really, really worth kind of going out there and finding some and tasting some, and you'll be rewarded.
Because I think I'm getting rewarded this morning. I'm really liking this. This is great. And thanks so much for your knowledge on it as well.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So appreciated.
It's a pleasure doing this spot.
Also, tell us about... So can you find that wine widely, or where would you find this one?
Widely available, yep, and kind of not in the supermarkets this week.
Okay.
But you can find it widely available in kind of liquor stores.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Excellent. Jason Bryant, winevaulttv.com. What else have you done this week on the...
We've done cask wine.
Oh, yeah, no, I've seen this that's been shared around a little bit. I haven't had a chance to watch it yet.
Cask wine.
But another contentious one, is it?
Yeah, it's... you know, I'd like to kind of explore kind of every avenue of wine, and kind of cask wine has always intrigued me.
Yeah.
We did a Chardonnay from from Adelaide as well in Australia.
Yeah.
With good surprising results. We had a sherry guy last week, and we've really kind of like done some fairly interesting wines this week.
All right, well, check them out at winevaulttv.com. That's been another edition of Wine Vault Radio. Cheers, Jason.
See you next week.
See ya.